Bob Gabrielli. I'm a resident of New Paltz, New York. I'm also the treasurer of New York State Crime Stoppers. And we take very seriously our role in especially protecting people who give us tips. So we tried to devise a foolproof way that, the IRS gives us an exemption, we can pay with cash. But how do we protect those people's identity? So we thought about it for quite a long time. We came up with the absolute greatest idea in the world. We subcontracted out all our record keeping, and our 800 number is answered by a firm in Canada. We are jurisdiction free. We can't be foiled, we can't be sued, we can't be subpoenaed, for any identities. I have a real great concern about losing jurisdiction over the company that's going to provide us electricity. Also, I live in the Springtown area of New Paltz, which is a low-lying area along the Wallkill River, which is 80 miles long, begins in southern Jersey, moves upstate. I've lived there all my life. I'm 67 years old. And I'll tell you, when my friend's son was 15, he used to dive off this great railroad trestle. It's a rail trail now. And he would dive headfirst into the water, couldn't touch it. Now he's 40-some years old, he wades across it, it's chest deep. That water, P.S., Crime Stoppers is teamed with Bob Kennedy and Waterkeeper. They're Riverkeeper and Waterkeeper also accessible on our app. I had to get that plug in. It's a mobile app. But this river runs up from the south through Jersey, through the black dirt areas. And as it's moving, it has energy. It gets those soil particles and it moves them along. And then what happens is there's a dam. Central Hudson operates a dam in Dashville, New York. And when that dam slows or stops, there's no more energy left in that water, and it drops the water particles, and you have accretion, you have erosion, and the bottom of that river moves up. And now the river channel has been decreased, and it can't hold as much water by it. What that means to me is, in my lifetime, I've seen more and more flooding, and our area is devastating to us and our homeowners. So that's very interesting because Central Hudson operates this dam. In 1988, they went to FERC, the Federal Energy Regulation Commission, and made an application saying, although Carol Browner, who was then the chairwoman of the EPA, said in court papers that the Wallkill River was unquestionably a navigable waterway, they said that one dam in the immediate area was not a navigable waterway. And they had it removed from all the licensing provisions and jurisdiction again of FERC. What that means is there's no foilable logs for the operation of that dam. DEC has no jurisdiction, FERC has no jurisdiction. We don't know when they're raising and lowering the flash panels. We don't know when they open the dam and close it. And we can't find it. And now when we get flooding, I don't think this is something you would have to find out on your own. But I think that if you have a dam and you're manufacturing electricity, you'd want to impound that water until the time when you could sell it to another, put it on the national grid when the money's up, the money's down. I knew a guy who did that, and he said millions of dollars could be lost, or if someone went out for a cup of coffee, it's just like trading on the big board with that electricity. So what happens is we have no way of knowing if that water is being impounded, if it's economically driven, or what. All we do know is the river keeps getting more shallow, and we have no jurisdiction over that. So you said a great thing, Judge and Commissioner. You said, what could you do to ameliorate this problem? And I've been thinking about that. And I said, maybe you could have a fund that's maintained in the United States so that if there's any lawsuits or any judgments, we can attach it. Well, how can we guarantee that? How could we get jurisdiction over the operation of those turbines that hold back the water? Let me tell you, they did some work on that dam last summer, and they dropped that water level. They opened dams up, and they dropped the water level 4 feet in 7.5 hours. But yet, when we see big storms coming in, we get hurricanes are coming, and that water level's still right up at the top. And I'm afraid that it may be quite possible that Central Hudson is using my front yard as a water impoundment area. I wish you would check into that. I'm asking you people, please, to determine if this is the case, water studies, and that's what I would like to do. We talk about mitigation. I'd love to see a study done. I'd like to see if the river needs dredging. If it is, maybe that could be a condition of your approval, that sort of thing. So I think that there's real economic problems that should be addressed before we possibly lose jurisdiction over this company. Thank you.
Which